Hello, hello, hello. I'm gonna go live and share my presentation today. I wanted to talk to managers about feedback tools, and I'm actually not able to see who is gonna watch live. Maybe I'll log in with my phone. I'm visiting my friend. I'm traveling right now in Canada for work and for some personal issues. So I will be doing this from somebody else's house. So you see the feedback, it's going to change every day. So I'm Anya Soto. I am the CEO and the founder of Culture Crafters. Today, I want to talk a little bit about feedback tools for managers and what does it mean when managers are given feedback, right? How to give it effectively. I created a manager development incubator, specifically for managers who were recently promoted or companies who are thinking of promoting their managers and don't have internal resources to coach and teach and train and onboard people with this type of skills. So let's dive in and look. So as I said, I'm a co-founder of Culture Crafters. Go check it out. We work with a lot of organizations who are scaling, hiring a lot of people. We train your managers for you. We do diversity and inclusion work. But our main product, and this product today, is all about training your managers and effective skills. What's the cost of not giving feedback? I wanted to share this first, right? The loss of energy on a team, because when I'm not giving feedback, when I'm not giving praise, when I'm not being grown, the apathy kicks in, right? Integrity, because again, if you see something, say something. We teach those skills in public school, right? In like elementary school, you see something, say something. So lots of drive and passion, opportunity to build trust. Every time you take a risk to give me feedback, it builds trust. And I'll talk a little bit about it, why it's so key and important. It creates superficial relationships. Again, lack of integrity. Like if you saw something and you didn't give me feedback, that's on you. Like then I don't trust you, right? The gift of helping someone else get better. Your role as a manager, you're really there to say, hey, you're doing this amazing. I want you to do more of this. And I want you to do less of this. And here's why. Freedom from pretending, right? Because again, I don't like how you're doing something, but I'm going to keep sitting in those meetings and I'm going to keep watching your slides instead of giving you feedback and saying, hey, like, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And I'll teach you what is the language, how do we articulate it? And then authentic relationships. How is it impacting the team? In feedback giving, we use a tool, and I'll introduce you to this tool, and it's all about what is the impact of actions? What is the impact of inaction? What is the impact of like your emotions, your relationship, the way you show up, the timing, the emotional, right, environment around you. This is why I wanted to share. Here's an impact. You not giving feedback is a loss of opportunity. It is a slower decision making because people are like, should I not? Should I do this? I don't know. Like last time I did it, but nobody told me. Was it a good move? Was it not a good move? Lack of true alignment with team values. Because again, if you say integrity is important to us, we want to be honest with each other. Leadership is important. Growth is important. Entrepreneurship is important. Risk taking is important. And yet you're the one not giving honest feedback. This creates that lack of alignment and integrity, which leads to gossip. People, if I'm not giving feedback to you, I'm talking about you to someone else. Most often I'm like, oh, I have someone on my team, blah, 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 blah. Instead of going to the team member, back channeling, right? Meeting, capture the meeting. Again, we don't feel safe to give our boss feedback because it's not just about giving feedback. It's also about receiving feedback. If I don't feel safe giving feedback to my boss and saying, hey, the expectation you have is unrealistic. I can tell you right now, our team doesn't have capacity to deliver on this. If we don't feel safe to give that feedback to our boss, we're going to have another meeting and be like, oh my God, can you believe? Like, what does he think? Like, what does she think? We can't do that in a week, right? Loss of energy and growth. That's the impact. So again, you can keep staying safe, or you can be courageous and actually grow your team because that is your role as a leader, as a manager. Okay, what's the new choice, right? And I will teach you again how. Stick around, I'll go quick and I'll teach you how. Practice letting go of being always right. We like to say clear is kind. That's Brené Brown. Clear is kind. You don't have to be right. Hey, here's what I'm picking up. Here's what I noticed. Here's the impact it had on me. When we were in a meeting and you started the meeting and said, I'm not quite prepared. I didn't really have time. That diminishes your authority in a room. I want you to know that. I want you to be careful with the language that you use. Again, that was the impact on me. That doesn't mean everybody felt it, but as your manager, if I felt that, most likely a lot of people felt that. How do you want to grow this person, right? What's your intention? Being candid, right? We talk a lot about candid feedback. And some people take it as like, truth telling, aggressive, blunt, honest, toxic. No, being candid can also be kind and generous and loving and caring and still truthful. Share your ideas and thoughts so it's known rather than winning an argument or making a point, right? I just want you to know there's nothing you need to do about it. I just wanted to share the impact it had on me, right? How does that feel? So again, feedback model is easy. Like this is the easy piece. I can teach you this in 5 minutes. You can go and practice. I create my trainings, and especially in the Management Development Incubator, we talk about things that are hard. Emotions, right? Emotions behind feedback, relationships, how it can ruin relationships. I'm gonna share with you a couple of slides on power dynamics, on unconscious bias, on fears. Like that's the stuff that nobody teaches. So again, SBI feedback model, really powerful, has been around for a long time. You describe the situation. As I said, someone is doing a presentation with slides, right? That's a fact, context, time, place. Last week on Tuesday, again, hopefully it was 2 days ago, you gave a presentation. I looked at your slides and here's what I saw. Like, do you remember that point when you said this thing? This is factual, right? Behavior. I felt like you didn't really feel comfortable in your presentation. And I get it. Maybe you didn't have enough time to prepare, but the behavior, right? Like, here's what I noticed, and here's what the impact on me was, right? You did this, here's what I felt. Objectively describe how the person behaved and how reacted in a situation, right? You analyze it, you have facts. And impact. What was the impact on you? What was the impact on the room? What was the impact on people? Super simple. SBI, Google it, we teach it again. Each one of this feedback is a 2-hour workshop. So I'm going to go fast and kind of talk about the things that nobody talks about. The truth triggers, right? What are the emotions? Managers avoid giving feedback because they're afraid of emotions, their own emotions and the other person's emotions, right? We're like, I don't want to say anything. It's going to hurt them. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to be perceived as a bitch. I don't want to say anything because it's always about emotions, right? So as managers, I need you to understand what are those triggers? What are the emotions? Because when you have the knowledge and understanding, you can then approach it more intentionally. Relationship triggers and identity triggers. Usually those are the 3 triggers, right, that we talked about. What are the true triggers? We go into like, is this feedback good or bad? Is it right or wrong? Is it fair or unfair? Is it helpful, not helpful, right? Very dimensional, very like 2-dimensional. It's like black or white, right or wrong, right? And it's like, and then we go, that's the first filter, right? And I do it subconsciously. I'm like, no, that's not right. That's not true. That's not what happened. This is my first trigger. The second trigger is relationship with my boss, relationship with my colleagues, relationship or like with my team members, right? We go into like, do I like the giver? Do I respect the giver? And in a way, I believe in this. And I teach this, that, hey, not everybody deserves to give you feedback. Like if someone doesn't know what you're doing, doesn't really have feedback, like doesn't really have the knowledge of a situation, you need to be careful whose feedback you're listening to. But there's the point. They have my best interests at heart? I get triggered when I don't believe you have my best interest at heart. And that is where trust comes in. Are we building trust with our people? Do we have enough trust built in, right, where they feel like we have their best interest at heart? Do I trust them? And then the last one is identity triggers. Again, if you are watching live, I'm not prepared. I'm traveling. I don't have a second screen right now, but I will go back. You can put comments, you can put questions, and I will respond to every comment and every question. So this is how we're going to collaborate. And this is what's up right now. But I still wanted to teach this because Next month, we will be teaching it inside our incubator for all the managers. And I think this content is super important because this is the time of year where you want to start giving feedback. Identity triggers, right? Does this feedback threaten how people see me? Oh my God, now everybody's going to know that I suck at presentations. I told them I was really good at presentations, but I wasn't. And now everybody's going to know. That's my identity trigger, right? And does it challenge the story of who I am, of who I believe I am? I thought I was an amazing speaker. I thought I was organized. I thought I was detail oriented. This feedback, right? So again, why I'm teaching you this, because you want to build enough trust and say, hey, this has nothing to do with who you are. I think you're an amazing employee. You want to prevent the trigger. So the person doesn't go into that, oh my God, what does it mean? Am I going to get fired? Do I trust them? So you want to prevent, you want to say like, okay, here are the 3 triggers. From what I know, like that's probably where they're going to go. Most people go through all of them at the same time. And you want to prevent those triggers. You want to say, here's the feedback. I want to offer you some feedback. Here's what I saw. I thought the presentation was amazing. There are a couple of things that can make it better. You're preventing those relationship triggers, right? And again, I will share with you a tool. How do you know when you're ready to give feedback? Because if you haven't built the trust and a relationship and people don't believe you, I don't think you're ready to give feedback. You can give feedback, but it's not going to land. What builds trust, right? If we say, okay, in order for me to give feedback, I need to build trust on my team. Again, trust is a huge topic. Here are 4 crucial conversations, really short, right? Are you coaching your people, right? Is your feedback based on facts? Because every time, remember, you give feedback, you build trust. Every time you give ineffective feedback, you ruin trust. Every time you coach someone, you didn't follow through, you ruin trust. Conflict. Are you open to conflict? Do people feel safe enough to bring their emotions, to bring different perspectives, right? Are you giving them feedback on their strengths and weaknesses and opportunities? This slide, again, each one of them is a separate skill, is a separate training, but I want to put it on your radar in terms of like, okay, what builds trust, right? Coaching builds trust, feedback builds trust, conflict, growth conversations, where I see you, here's where I see you're going. I want to help you. I want to coach you. I want to also create a differentiation between coaching and feedback. They're completely 2 different skills. And a lot of managers struggle with that. They're like, well, I'm kind of giving feedback, but I'm coaching. Feedback is based on facts. It's factual, it's timely, it's based on impact, and you're helping person get better at something. Coaching is about listening and asking questions. It's about being curious, and maybe you want to get curious. It's about helping them arrive at their own solutions. Do you see feedback? I'm telling you, hey, I saw you do something, and here's what you can do better next time. Coaching is, what happened? I saw you in presentations before. I know you're amazing, but this time, like something was going off. Like, are you okay? What's happening in your home? What was going through your mind? Like, I'm asking questions. I'm sourcing. What was happening for you, right? In order to then maybe give you direct feedback. Completely different skills. And managers have to know how to have each one of them. And then if you're not willing to have conflicts, taking responsibility for conflicts, people are going to avoid. This is my favorite topic. As I said, I love teaching managers through a lens of diversity and inclusion. We are all working with remote teams. We're working remotely. We have to be aware of minorities. We have to be aware, again, of triggers of power. I can tell you right now, if you're white men, you can build authority really quickly. It will take you time to build trust. Women, men, marginalized communities, if you don't have awareness of what is happening in the world and awareness of your own privilege and power, you're going to have a really hard time building trust. So examples of power, right? We think of like, well, CEO has power. I don't have power. Insider perspective, power disbalance. It's a power dynamics. When you're giving me feedback, if you're in a role where I perceive you to be an authority, again, most likely I'm not going to respond to your feedback. Most likely I'm not going to be in a conversation with you. I'll just listen and say, yes, sir. So as a manager, being aware of like, okay, like there's a power dynamic here. And how do I kind of acknowledge that, right? Again, there's nothing you can do. You are their boss. They do report to you. You have your own bosses that you report to. It's a given. But having an understanding that having insider perspectives gives you power. You know where we're going. You know what skills you need on a team. The other person might not. Powerful networks. You can speak to other people, you can do sponsorship, introduction. So if you have powerful networks and I don't, every time you give me feedback, I'm like, oh, damn, I guess I'm not getting an introduction to someone that I was hoping they'll introduce me, because now they don't think I'm good enough, right? Outspoken, dominant. If you are an extrovert, if you have more dominant and someone is shy on your team, that's a power dynamic to be aware of. Information hoarding versus information sharing, right? Again, you know the budget, you know you're letting someone go, you already have all that information, but you're not sharing it with your team. Access to decision makers. Another one, why you cannot change power dynamics, you can acknowledge them and be aware of them. Right? Again, biases. Oh my God, bias get in. So I want you to start paying attention. If you're a manager, you're about to give feedback, you have, let's say, 4 team members on your team. I want you to start exploring, am I giving the same feedback to everybody? Or here's what I tell women and here's what I tell men. Oh, this is a person of color. I'm aware of my privilege and power. So I'm gonna give them feedback through a lens and a perspective that they might get offended, or I'm so worried about how it's going to be received, versus, again, speak to it, be aware of it, right? You're like, is my feedback factual? And I'll give you a couple of examples. Like me bias, right? We talk about, again, a whole separate workshop, but I want to put it on your radar. Like, am I hiring people like me? Am I evaluating their performance like mine? Is that how I would do a presentation? Or is that their style? Am I developing their style, their authentic style? Or am I giving them feedback based on, like, here's what I would have done. Well, maybe you should do like this. Likability bias. Are you giving feedback to everybody or only people that you like? Performance bias. Love this. Love performance bias. Again, just have an awareness. It's like, well, Maria's been performing so well for the last 2 years. I'm not going to even review her performance, right? I already know. I'm sorry. And then maternal bias, again, make an assumption that I'm not going to give her feedback because really either she's just returning from maternity or she's going on maternity. What's the point? And she's not. Women are less committed. Mothers are less committed, right? Mothers don't have mental capacity, whatever those beliefs are. Here's what it looks like in real life. This is a Harvard study review, and I will share a link with you. Women get feedback on their communication style, speaking style, right? Too aggressive. Here's, in fact, 76% reference to being too aggressive happen in women's reviews versus men. Men are actually the opposite. And again, I like talking about men, and I'm like, if you are a man who is more introverted and who is soft-spoken, your feedback would be like, you have to man up and you need to grow some skin. Where for women, they'll be like, okay, you're too aggressive, you're too bossy, you need to bring it down. Be aware, right, of those biases. So here's another one. Vague praise. Oh, you had a great year. What does that mean? How is this growing me? How is this helping me? How is this giving me, right? Again, introduces me to other opportunities. This is so vague. It has nothing to do with the business outcome. Another one is missed opportunities to develop critical skills led to women being tracked into support functions. Women, if you have maternal bias, if you have gender bias, most likely you're not going to delegate high visibility projects to women. I talk a lot about it. Women are like, why don't you work on this project? But Greg, oh, you'll work on that project. It's like being aware of, like, what is my delegation? Who was exposed to what project? Who can I introduce to whom? Who needs to be like more visible? Because someone is like really amazing in their skills, but they're shy and they're introverted and nobody knows about them. Your job as a manager to create opportunities for them to shine in their role. Again, that doesn't mean I'm going to put you in front of 200 people. No, it means bring visibility, assign and delegate projects for visibility. Be aware that this is where it happens, right? And then you kind of like slide them and it's like, I don't know, she's not really outspoken. I don't think she would be good at this. So let me slide her into like an executive assistant role. It happens all the time, every day. I am super passionate about this topic, and I want to teach managers how to be better leaders, how to not get trapped in their own beliefs and unconscious bias where they're not even aware. Feedback checklist. Feedback starts with clear goals, right? If your people don't have clear goals, like what am I evaluating you on? I'm going to be biased. I'm like, I don't even know, what were the milestones? What were the expectations, right? Like, did you have access to me? Coaching skills, impact, constant impact. Here's the impact it had. Emotions, we talk about powerful questions, right? Facts ready, feedback. Even coaching, you want to ask questions and feedback, especially if you're a manager. So there's one is a paper trail. You want to have a paper trail. I gave you feedback in September. I gave you feedback in November. And now here we are at our annual year evaluation. Because if you're not giving them feedback and then you go to HR and you say, well, we need to get rid of this person. Have you given them feedback? No. Have you coached them? No. Do you have any paper trail? No. You're screwed as a manager. That it doesn't work like that. And so there's like a human aspect, a human element, and a tangible real reality of the world. You have to have a paper trail. You have to have your facts ready. And this is where it's most impactful. It happened last week. This is the situation. We were in a room. You were wearing a green dress. I was, whatever it is, right? Do you remember that? Yes. Here's what happened. Here's how people reacted to it. Here's what this was: impact on me, impact on the team, impact on the product, impact on the client, right? You want to talk about how it affects everyone. Feedback model we talked about SBI, but this is another observable behavior, right? Impact, reinforce change. Like, what's the change? What can you do different? Monitor progress. Okay, great. Can we talk about this 3 weeks from now? Can we touch like in a month from now, right? This is your role again as a manager. Put it in your calendar, monitor. Performance gaps, skill gaps, behavioral challenge. Again, it's not always about skills. Sometimes impact is toxicity, back channeling. When you go behind this person's back and you talk to someone else, it creates toxicity on our team. It makes it look okay. So as I said, a lot of information. You can watch this video. This is why we say we're going to give you 10 years of manager experience in 12 months. We have a new cohort that is starting May 1st, a week from now, 9 days from now. We're going to have a cohort. It's a small cohort where we're going to take you through a lot of different skills. We're going to give you feedback. You'll have safe space to role play, to practice giving feedback, to get feedback on your feedback. How powerful it is to give feedback on someone's performance and get feedback on your given feedback. We have a Slack community. We have tools. We have, I will give you feedback. I will train you. If you want to join, you're a manager or you have someone on your team, you're growing your team, you're scaling your team. Someone is afraid of conflict. Someone is afraid of giving feedback. Reach out to me. We start May 1. I'm only looking for a couple more people to join this cohort. Would be happy to chat with you, create a conversation. Here's a game. I want to always give you like something tangible, right? Because again, in our training, I always want to say, okay, let me teach you. Let's practice. Try it. Let me give you feedback. How is it going? Okay, what can you do to take it to your team? Here's a simple game, right? Tell, ask, give. Invite, tag, we call it a tag feedback game. Invite everybody on your team next time you have a meeting. I like how I think your example is I connect with, right? You want to give them language. Did you consider, here's where you tell, I like how you do this. I think was a great example. I really connected with this context. Ask, did you consider blah, blah, blah? What are your thoughts? What did you mean when you said? And give. Here's one suggestion. You might want to. What if? And again, every person, you can ask people like, I want each single one of you to give an example, ask them a question, right? And then give a suggestion. Every single one. This is how you create a culture of seeking feedback. That it's not just like, hey, I have some feedback for you. Oh my God, no, not today. I can't handle feedback. Oh my God. No, I want to go around and be like, guys, we did this presentation. Any feedback? Give me presentation right now in LinkedIn Live. Anya, too fast, too slow. I would love more examples. I didn't like the colors, whatever it is. Give me feedback so I can get better. As a manager, are you generous enough with your people to grow them? Like that's what, to me, feedback, effective feedback is an act of generosity. Grow your people, get to know your people, build trust and help them succeed. Otherwise, like people are not going to stay on your team. I can tell you right now. So DM me, send me a message, tag me in the comments. I'd be happy to jump on the calls. If you are a manager, if you have been managing for a while, if nobody's teaching you the skills, I'd be happy if you joined our cohort. It's a global cohort. We're going to have people from different companies, different countries. You're going to learn a ton. So thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope you got value out of this. And maybe I can join the LinkedIn and see what happened in the comments. And I'll continue this conversation in the comments. I'm still learning how to do LinkedIn Live, so I'm sorry, but I can't wait to